Hello, Paul McCann here. I'd like to explore today 5 more poetry structures. And to begin with, we have the metaphor. This method of writing poetry can be personal, powerful, and positive. Propelled by emotions and experience that is always an enigmatic explosion of what makes us tick as poets. Ignorance is, as always, the want of an education. Expression of the written word needs to be explored, and we need skills to discover the spark within the subconscious mind. Robert Frost quoted, "Poetry is what gets lost in translation." So the more that we look at poetry and try to translate our thoughts, it's like a different kind of information process. It's not like pouring information into the head. It's more like lighting a fire. So to see how our poetry can walk with words and images, let's combine that with metaphors and movement like living, breathing water. When you're able to be in control of metaphors, it's almost like turning on a water tap and allowing the words to flow into streams of feelings that have a role to play and a place to be with poetry. To feel emotions with the things we say. Like when we're sad. For example, I feel so sad. How else can we describe the sadness, and what does the sadness look like? Then you ask yourself questions like, does it have a sound? What does it sound like? Is it dull and empty, like a deep thud in the heart? So when we write about feelings and things we can't sort of see, we want to create good pictures for people to see in their mind. This piece is an example, The Poet's Pencil by Paul McCann. Once upon a time a pencil wanted to write, but it didn't have a point and it felt a little out of joint. So I sharpened it a bit until it bled lead. The pencil began to anoint using words to make its point. From the pencil a river flowed across the page. But was a river really there in the poetry it shared? The late and great Irish poet Seamus Heaney, when he was just a boy at school, was writing something one day at his desk and not paying attention to the teacher, who called out, "What are you doing, Heaney?" And the young poet replied, "My pen is a spade, I dig with it." So he was talking about his imagination, how he has to dig into his imagination when he's writing. Maybe the teacher was not aware of the genius of Heaney at that age. Sometimes using metaphors as images can describe our feelings. We would have to dig deep. Other times it just flows. We have to see the poems in our mind and breathe it in like oxygen that gives it life. Feelings are a good device when we're writing metaphors, things such as anger, love, memory, silence, jealousy, wisdom, hope, loneliness. All of these things stir up pictures that we can use to allow us to see our poetry begin to flow as we feel that emotion stirring within us. As an example, I See Poetry by Paul McCann. Anger is a wild wind chained to my wrist. Love's a landslide falling over a cliff. Silence is a closed curtain around a room. Memories are like seeds about to bloom. Jealousy cuts the friendship just like a knife. Wisdom are mirrors reflecting through life. Hope is the new light when the darkness fell. Loneliness is a cave where hermits dwell. The second structure on today's presentation is nonsense poems. This structure or style of writing tells funny stories and poems about man-made up creatures or possible things that happen. They are often used to invent different situations with words. Edward Lear's collection of nonsense songs and stories in 1871 is a good example of this form of writing. Some of the best nursery rhymes are examples of nonsense poetry. 19th century writer Lewis Carroll uses this style in his poem Jabberwocky. 20th century writer Spike Milligan uses this style in his writing of the poem On the Ning Nang Nong. My example here of the nonsense structure is the Jester's Dance. The Jester's Dance by Paul McCann. The Queen of Shock, she liked to rock her frock, and she left her shoes on a magic stair. When the king came home, he sat on his throne, while the queen whooshed up all the stardust there. The jester and the fool just kept it cool, and drank wet tea from the buttercups there. They smoked mutton dog bongs, and sang sweet songs, and danced transcendently out of sight. The next structure on today's presentation is a shape poem. Shape poems, or a concrete poem, is a poem that looks like the thing that it is about. I have an example here in a non-verbal sense that may not present as clear with its verbal delivery. A Christmas Tree by Paul McCann. A Christmas tree, twinkling with lights, adorned with gold and silver tinsel, softly sparkling in spirals on each branch. A Christmas tree to gather around in love. Christmas trees and families captured in the presence where angels dance. A Christmas tree stands in the window. Many brightly lit Christmas trees stand in windows, lighting up streets all over the town. Bless the tree, full of joy and wonder. Little children, they reach up, then they grab, and suddenly the tree comes falling down. The next structure here is the crosstalk. I created this style of poetry to use different languages in the poem. My example here is a romantic air. A romantic air by Paul McCann. Je t'aime, yes, I'm falling for France. Mon ami, c'est la vie. Looking for romance. Ti amore, what do you say? Mon je, non, oui, or qu'est-ce que c'est? And to finish off today's presentation is the riddle poem. In a riddle poem, we have to guess what the subject is from the clues in the poem. There are publications such as Monica Beisner's Book of Riddles and Hey Riddle Diddle, a book of traditional riddles edited by Rodney Pepp. The example I'd like to present today is Who Am I? Who Am I? By Paul McCann. I am not a structure, yet I'm the temple that fell. I am not a doctor, yet I made the sick feel well. I am the cornerstone rejected, not made of stone. Kings bow before me, but they have never seen my throne. I'm in the past, present, and future. Do you know me? I'm invisible, but many people have found me. I am not an animal, yet some call me the lamb. Give me your answer. Who do you say it is I am? That ends today's poetry structure presentation. It's good to try something different that works to unlock blocks and discover new pathways with poetry. So until next time, write on. Bye for now.